Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. As you guys can see, we're in the shop today, and today is pretty much going to be a combination of a couple products from Harbor Freight. As you guys can see right here, we are unloading a couple big boxes from Harbor Freight, and yeah, one of those boxes is very heavy, the other one's a little bit lighter, but let's go ahead and show you what we got. So as you saw in those boxes, we have a tool cart here from Harbor Freight. This is the US General line. And then you can also see we have a welding table from Titanium that is also from Harbor Freight. And yes, we do have the older Harbor Freight welding table, but guys, I really haven't enjoyed this thing because it's kind of at an awkward height. I think this is at 30 inches and I want it to be a little bit taller. Not only that, but it's also not on wheels, and every time I gotta mow, I have to move this stupid thing, and you know, it's just in the way. So today what we're doing is basically making a mobile welding cart out of 2 or 3 products from Harbor Freight, and then we're going to modify it a little bit so that we don't get any sparks down through the holes on this welding table onto our new tool cart. So let's go ahead, get this stuff opened up, and kind of show you what our overall plan is going to be. And I just realized something while filming. If you guys see this Silverado bumper on my floor, well, I did promise you a whole bunch of updates coming up with the Silverado, so pending this video gets out before the other videos, we've got a whole bunch of truck stuff to do, and I just wanted to remind you guys that. So we've gotten this box open, and pretty much all we're going to be using is this top table, and I think everything else in here is just going to be the sheet metal legs. We might be able to use a little bit of it. I'm not sure if there's anything inside of here. That might be the bottom, but yeah, let's go ahead and get this open, and we'll determine what all we'll be using out of this, if anything. All right, well, I've gotten the rest of the box opened up, and this was covered up in a plastic bag, and then that plastic bag, this was covered up in grease. So be prepared to clean your hands when you take this thing apart. But now that I'm seeing how this thing attaches, I kind of have an idea. So what my initial plan was, like I said, I didn't want to have any sparks flying from these, you know, from these holes here and coming down on top of the table. You know, we're obviously looking at it from underneath. But now what I might do, I just might find some sheet metal, just go get, I don't know, a plate of it, you know, stuff that's real thin. Heck, I even have a sign over here I might be able to use. You know, this is a power tour sign that I have no use for. Just like, do something like that. Find 2 little trays and just cover this thing up. I mean, I literally could just drill a hole here and here and cover this whole middle section up. Yeah, heck, that'd almost be perfect. I would want something a little bit bigger, but yeah, so that's kind of my idea, is just put something below those holes in the middle part, and that'll cover up any weld splatter from getting on our toolbox. So that being said, let's go ahead and get the toolbox open, and we'll see how we're going to piece this together. Because if you guys look, we actually have the toolbox on top, but what we're going to do is actually have that on bottom, have the legs go up, and then the legs will attach to the bottom of this welding table. At least that's the general plan. All right, guys, kind of opened up the cart a little bit unconventionally, but I did get the box, all of it off. The cart is actually sitting in this bottom tray. That is what we're gonna leave that sitting in. But before we do that, we're gonna attach all these wheels and the hardware there. Those screw into the bottom of that. We will sit the cart into that tray, and then the legs will basically bolt from the outside of this cart that will have wheels on it. It should bolt to the toolbox here. Then the legs will go up, and we'll tie that into the bottom of the welding tabletop. All right, guys, we've jumped kind of a lot ahead, but that's just the way things go. So basic instructions: put the wheels on the bottom, you're good. Follow the instructions. There's 4 nuts, bolts, and washer. Do all that. The instructions are there, not that hard. Now this is where we're gonna veer from the instructions. You guys will see that we put all of the legs on here. If you guys can read them, the leg is mounted upside down. That is because we need the longer space between the bottom of the leg and this top bolt here that will go into the bottom bolt of the tool cart. So we're going to mount the legs upside down, kind of as we demonstrated, and then this little shelf here, you guys can see these 4 pieces. Those simply go in, so your hardware goes through the outer leg, through the cart side, and then you've got these trim pieces in here. They're just 90-degree L brackets, and you know, put them in and tighten everything down. It's a 13mm bolt. Tighten everything down. Well, not super tight, because you may need some wiggle room to get this thing on here. And that is the basic modification for this tool cart. Instead of putting this box at the top, we're gonna have it sitting down here. It's gonna sit on this little tray, these L brackets that we're showing you. Then the other thing we're gonna do is we're gonna drill out these 5 rivets right here and remove the lid. Now, I did see a picture where a guy did keep the lid, but he had to cut 4 huge chunks out of it. And I don't know, that may be something we decide to do later. It is, like I said, just 5 or 6 rivets that we got to drill out. I have black rivets, so I can always install this later. So for now, drill these out. We will slide this into the cart, and then we will use the hardware that came with the kit and attach it to this middle hole here. That'll go, I think, in the bottom hole on the toolbox itself. So let's go ahead and get drilling. Get this thing in here, and then we'll get all the hardware attached. All right, guys, we got the lid and the toolbox cover removed. We're gonna go ahead and grab that, slide it in between the 4 legs, and that should be about it. So that is the rough shape of what this is gonna look like. These holes are close. I think we're just gonna have to push this up a little bit, stick the hardware in. This side it's pretty close as well. All right, guys, so we struggled putting the top on. What we think the problem is these little tabs here that are meant for the roof of the toolbox, the top of it. So I just took a little blade, cut that. You guys just saw that on both sides. And this side's bent anyway. That was actually bent from Harbor Freight, so way to go packaging on that one. We're just using some pliers to bend these down, get them out of the way, and I think that will suck the whole back end of this more towards the frame of the box, and that will allow us to get that top onto the new welding cart. All right, guys, you can see that we did end up trimming that back tab like we said. I just cut that, and then you guys can see we bent it downward, actually using the body tools that you see right there. And on top, you can see our welding cart. And I will say, at first glance, does seem to be a little tall. I think it'd be perfectly fine for MIG welding, because you want your piece near you, and you just weld wherever. Also, here's my stool, so you can sit in the stool, weld pretty comfortably. The only problem would be if you need to TIG weld, your foot's you're a little far. So that would be my one incident complaint, is that it is a little bit tall, but I already like it way better than that pile of crap over there. So, and kind of like I was saying, it's on wheels, so we can easily roll this thing out of the way when we need to use the big tractor. All right, guys, it's another day, and we're gonna wrap up this welding cart project. You guys might think, why do I have a oil drain pan on top of our welding cart? Well, this is pretty much the perfect size to go under this tray, because it's not quite the same size, the top of this and the top of this, but since this bottom frame is a little bit inset, we're pretty much just gonna cut along here. I'm gonna probably cut it, I don't know, an extra inch in length or something like that, and maybe a ½ inch, and then we're just gonna fold up the edge with our body tools, and we'll just fold it up like that, make a 90-degree edge, and that way we'll have something that we can kind of clamp onto the outside of it. And then how we're gonna secure this to the cart is going to be through these bolts here like we showed you earlier. Let's drill a hole, take this nut bolt off, put the nut bolt back on, and that's pretty much how we're gonna capture this thing, and that way it's we're not going to say it's going to be 100% tight, you know, to prevent sparks and dust and stuff from going down on the rest of the welding cart, but it should capture probably like 98% of it. So, all right guys, this might look a little bit crude, but I did end up using a hammer and dolly on the edge here. That way we made it a much better 90-degree edge, if that makes sense. We have it covering all four corners of the bottom of the welding tray. Now we are going to have to slot it for these pieces right here, so I'm probably just going to cut whatever the width that is. It looks almost like it's 2 inches, so 2 inches from here, 2 inches from here, just cut the edge off, and I think we'll be able to get this to slide up in there. All right guys, we have finally finished this project up. I got the cart pretty much all together. I still need to put a couple screws in down here, but basically these holes all line up. I just need to put the hardware in. Our table is on top like we said we wanted. You guys can see in between there is that drip pan, and I did roll the edges around the frame like I said, so this thing is protected for like 365 degrees. There's a couple of gaps here in the corners, but that's fine. Basically just got everything tight, put all the hardware on here. I had to take that out, put that through the frame. You guys can see that right here. That's all tightened out. Now I did, for the final tightening, did actually have to take a tie down strap. Probably should have used something else, but did have to get the legs a little bit straightened out. So you guys can see that we've got all these drawers in here. We can put all kinds of welding stuff in here. And you know, we got a little bit more tool storage. And any random welding stuff I had in the big box or over here in front of the welders, I can now put in their proper home in this toolbox over here. And so yeah, that's pretty much going to be it for today's video. I did kind of want to show you the wheels. You know, it is way more mobile than that thing, which we had to slide around on skis. So not really a big fan of that old table. Should be putting this new table to use. I don't really have any welding projects coming up just yet, but we will probably have something coming along at some point. So if you guys want to see us use this table and other random shop updates, hit that subscribe button, turn on your bell notifications. If you guys want to help support the channel, check out all the links down below. I will try to get you part numbers for everything that we used. I'm not sure if we'll be able to find the US General or the welding table on Amazon. If not, I will just get you some part numbers for that. You can take that to Harbor Freight and buy it there. I probably can find the drip tray and the hammer and dolly set. I think the dolly's somewhere around here. Oh, it's over there. That body hammer set. And yeah, that's actually the second time I think I've used that set, so you never know when you're gonna need a random tool. And we'll include those links down below. And also make sure you check our website, BonecrrusherSS.com. Any support you can give there goes right back into the channel, the shop, the truck, the Corvette, and little random projects like this. So that's gonna be it. Thanks guys. Have a great one.